I want to actually, at the end, present or have presented a video which was sent to us by Russia from the IGMASS program, which is really, the offer on the table. And the reason why we had this conference on the 30 years anniversary of the SDI is because we want to rally forces, especially in the United States, who answer positively to the proposals by Russia on the table. And I'm actually very happy to say that the Europeans have already agreed that they will study these proposals and cooperate with them. So I think I would like to ask Rachel to make a couple of remarks on the significance of this video, which then will conclude this morning panel.
Thanks, Helga. The very short video that we'll see is actually a Russian television coverage of the asteroid defense program called IGMASS, which stands for International Global Aerospace Monitoring System. And this is the group at which one of our speakers this morning, Ben Denniston and Jason Ross, addressed their conference in Ukraine last fall. That's actually the only U.S. representatives for an important international scientific discussion of this question. And they greet our conference and have asked us to look at the video featuring their work as their contribution to it. I just wanted to put that in context. I'll talk real fast, maybe not as fast as 1993 at our SDI anniversary conference when my speech started at 10 to midnight after the fire drill. But I wanted to put it in the context of the fact that there are on the table a whole range of Russian proposals, inclusively, not only on SDE, but on strategic defense. And it's really such a case of the tables turning, because back during the Andropov-Gorbachev period, one of the reasons they could get away with this, even in the Soviet establishment, which was not entirely in the pocket of the British, but included people who, since Marshal Sokolovsky's book in 1962, had held that lasers against ICBMs were an essential development. The reason they could get away with it was total control of the media, saying that Reagan's SDI was an attempt to achieve a first strike capability, disarming the Soviet deterrent. Today, we have an ironical situation where, starting at the Vancouver summit in 1993, when even under the Yeltsin regime, some Russian representatives brought to the Yeltsin-Clinton summit in Vancouver a proposal called TRUST for a joint Russian-American anti-missile experiment. Since then, the Russians have had actually a whole string of such strategic proposals, which you don't know about unless you read EIR and monitor LPAC, because they've been as blacked out in our media today as the true intent of the LaRouche-Reagan SDI was in Russia 30 years ago. Those include, for example, 9/11/2001, when Putin was the first foreign leader to contact Bush. He actually spoke with Condoleezza Rice, the Secretary of State, after the attacks on our country, and said, "We know what's going on. We are taking all our nuclear force alerts down and canceling all scheduled exercises because we realize that this could be a danger to world peace, and we want a strategic collaboration." Instead of that, 3 months later, under the guidance of Cheney, the United States did exit the ABM treaty, which was lousy, but that's a whole other story, but exited the ABM treaty and said, now we're going to take missile defense, which, as Jeff pointed out, was no longer what Reagan had envisioned with the SDI. But we're going to take missile defense and we're going to set up a global shield, ostensibly against potential attack from Iran or elsewhere. But the Russian strategists and the Chinese strategists saw it as aimed as a threat to their deterrent. So in 2007, President Putin came to Kennebunkport, met with then President Bush, the second Bush, and proposed joint deployment of anti-missile defense between not the United States and NATO, but the United States and Russia against any potential threats. So far, the United States has said, we'll talk about it, but we won't allow it. We will not allow an actually jointly operated program. And therefore, those Russian proposals are still on the table, at the same time that Chief of Staff Gerasimov and others have underscored that they perceive not only Phase 4, but Phase 3 of the phased implementation anti-missile program, BMD program, as a threat to Russia's deterrent, the Topol M regiments based at Tyekovo, north of Moscow. So the several strategic defense proposals are on the table, as is the SDE proposal, which will be a much expanded version of what the nice people from IGMASS have asked you to look at today. We're going to talk about saving the world, the IGMASS project. IGMASS, International Global Monitoring Aerospace System. This means the whole planet coming together to deal with ever more frequent natural and technological disasters. How can we prevent the inevitable? There's only one way: forecasting. Recently, more and more people have died around the world from disasters like floods and tsunamis. This has happened mainly in natural disasters and from some disasters caused by technology. In the past 40 years, you have damage, not only the deaths of people, which of course is the most important thing, but also economic damage, totaling an estimated $1.5 trillion. 3 levels of monitoring, ground, air, and space-based, provide comprehensive data on approaching problems. If the Japanese had known on March 11, 2011, how accurate our Far East forecasting sensors were, they might have been able to avoid one of the most serious radiation accidents ever. The forecasts of Russian scientists using IGMASS began to be taken more seriously after that event. Russian scientists have issued a forecast for the region of Turkey, the Caucasus, the Black Sea, and into our own country along the same ridges as far east as Lake Baikal. Most of these forecasts have been confirmed. Of course, the IGMASS system directs its dozens of satellite eyes not only at Earth, it is also our anti-asteroid shield in space. The objective: to discover asteroid threats, calculate the time and place of impact, and neutralize the interloper. IGMASS can also guard against space clutter. ISS crews have to maneuver to stay out of the way of space trash. The other important mission of IGMASS is to follow our main celestial body. Observing solar activity is an important part of making Earth forecasts. That's the IGMASS system in all its glory, already partly tested. Upcoming plans include finding customers, reporting to APEC, and developing IGMASS's own satellites. That's how to save the world in 3 steps.